This is my friend Tom. He's not really my friend, he's an actor doing me a favour. Tom cares about what he eats. He cares about the planet. Look at him. You can see him caring. And because he cares, he tries to shop local. He's now texting his girlfriend to ask her whether they need any more of that purple sprouting broccoli. Let's have a look at that phone.
Oh, what are you doing? Give me my phone.
It's an iPhone.
Yes.
Where do you think your iPhone is made?
I don't know, China?
So, you care about shopping locally. Why didn't you buy it from some local consumer electronics web run by an irritating bloke called Jake?
Don't know anyone called Jake.
You do surprise me.
I don't know, because it's cheaper to make phones in China.
Exactly. China has a comparative advantage in the workplace. Its workforce is cheaper. The thing is, that comparative advantage doesn't just apply to workforce, it also applies to agricultural landscape.
Give me back my bloody phone.
This is a map of potato growing in Britain. You can see it's concentrated here in the borders and here in the fens, Lincolnshire, Norfolk, where it's flat. Really flat. Depressingly, dismally flat.
Jay, snap out of it.
How did you get there?
Poor editing, lousy continuity, very low production values.
Right, thank you. Potato growing in Britain. As you can see, a lot of it concentrated on the fens, where you get 20 tonnes an acre. But we want to be good locavores here in London, so what about if we move our production down to the clay soils of Essex? Now you get 16 tonnes an acre. So to get the same amount, you either need 20% more land or shed loads of carbon inputs. In short, the potatoes grown in Lincolnshire have the smaller carbon footprint.
Really?
No, I'm making it up. Yes, of course, really. You've heard of the concept of food miles.
Yes. The more food miles, the less sustainable the food, right?
It's very, very simple. It's so simple, even you could understand it.
Are you looking for a slap?
Yes, always. The thing with it is it's too simple. It only looks at the amount of carbon involved in getting the food from field to fork. It doesn't take into consideration the amount of carbon involved in fertilizers, in putting up buildings, in running tractors, in the lifestyles of the farm workers.
So?
Come with me.
What's this?
This is a visual aid.
There's not much of one.
I'm working to a very tight budget. Here's the thing, if you do a full sustainability study on your food, you will find that the proportion of its carbon footprint caused by its transport falls to...
Not very much.
Between 2 and 4%. You know about New Zealand lamb.
Yeah, New Zealand lamb, bad, right? Carbon footprint an elephant could sleep in.
Wrong. There was one major study that found that the carbon footprint of lamb raised in New Zealand and brought to Britain was a quarter of that raised in Britain.
How can that be?
Because New Zealand has a comparative advantage in agriculture. It is just so much better at raising lamb.
Are you saying that buying locally is pointless?
It's not entirely pointless. If you live in Lincolnshire, you should get your potatoes from Lincolnshire. If you live in a rural area, you may want to support the local economy. But it's irrelevant if you live in an urban area like Brixton here.
This is Herne Hill.
It's Herne Hill if you're selling it and Brixton if you're being cool.
So, if you live in a city, then buying locally is just silly posturing.
Pretty much.
Someone should write a book about this.
Funny you should mention that. I explain everything in my new book, A Greedy Man in a Hungry World, how almost everything you thought you knew about food is wrong. All those foodie sacred cows, localism, seasonality, farmers markets, the value of small agriculture over large, I take them all out into the market square and I shoot them dead. Plus, I own up to my drug shame.
Oh, you are an outrage, Rayner. Mind you, at least you haven't mentioned the endorsement quote from Caitlin Moran.
Caitlin Moran will endorse anything for a can of Stella and a packet of fags.
Oi!
Buy my new book, available in ebook, audio and print formats. It will change the way you shop, cook and eat forever. Who writes this stuff?